boss lady, brain lady, winning lady, owning lady, abundant lady, blessed lady, boss lady.
Hey, boss ladies, are you ready to boss up and experience the next best chapter of your life? Well, that's exactly what our Boss Lady Manifesto Journal was designed to do. Don't take our word for it, though. Check out the countless Amazon reviews from boss ladies all over the world. And remember that the power to co-create the life of your dreams lives in your faith. We dare you to grab your pen, gather your thoughts, and take control of your actions. The Boss Lady Manifesto Journal is on sale at Amazon right now. Go get your blessings.
Hi, family. I'm Monica L., a boss lady, Cleveland born, LA raised, on a journey of freedom and happiness as an educator, entrepreneur, and self published author. Let's get it. My IG handle is at Monica L_writer.
Hello. I'm your girl, Coach Kaya. I'm a boss wife, mompreneur, sister, writer, and certified transformational coach. I help people access their power, heal the trauma of their past, reignite their dreams, and manifest the miracles that truly matter today. My IG handle is at I am Coach Kaya.
Yes, Coach Kaya is amazing. So definitely make sure you reach out to her. And we are just so thankful because we know you are doing amazing things and you have been sharing this journey with us. And please continue to be bossed up with our Boss Lady Manifesto Journal, commitments designed to keep you and the little queen inside of you bossed up. We so appreciate all the outpouring of love. Every photo you hold your book and amazing Amazon reviews inspire us to keep going and stand firm in our mission. And you know, our mission has always been to give you a brave space to grow, learn, and contribute.
You said that perfectly, Monica L. Our hearts are so full and they've been full. We'd love to have you on the show to share the many ways that the Boss Lady Manifesto Journal has enhanced your life. We'd love to present workshops to your groups, your schools, your personal and professional organizations. And if you need 10 or more copies of the Boss Lady Manifesto Journal, please don't hesitate to email us at bossladyconversations@gmail.com. The whole point of us creating this work is that we want to do whatever we can to help you integrate the Boss Lady commitments into the parts of your life that can really benefit from them. Thank you so much for being the heart of the Boss Lady universe and for supporting this legacy that belongs to you. At the end of the day, we want you to walk away from Boss Lady Conversations episodes, your Boss Lady Manifesto Journal, feeling inspired, imaginative, hopeful, creative, and what? Boss up to go after what matters most in your life.
Yes. And speaking of bossed up, today's topic, how boss ladies can make small mental shifts that lead to huge wins, with Yvette Regalado, CEO and founder of Wild Success, is the ultimate discourse in bossing up. Yvette used to work at Univision, and she later quit her job after discovering that her male counterpart was making $100,000 more than her.
She then launched her own company called Our Wild Success to help women find the right career path and become confident in their work and leadership. And listen, we are here for this level of leadership and being able to turn disappointment into your launching pad and deciding to be great. And that's what today's show is really about, how to make mental shifts that can lead to huge wins. This comes at a time when so many boss ladies are out here making changes that are necessary. Sometimes it's a leap, sometimes it's a step, or sometimes it's the idea of pausing to really catch your breath. We want to thank the phenomenal Boss Lady alumna Ashley Abdullah for referring Yvette to the Boss Lady family. And if you haven't heard Ashley's Boss Lady Conversations episode, do yourself a favor. It's called How to Boss Up, Brand Up, and Walk Out Courageously. Please press play on that episode today. We are so excited to share more about today's Boss Lady Conversations guest, Yvette. Yvette is not only the founder of Our Wild Success, it's a community of bold women who are redefining success, not just in career, but in their whole selves, the full person. She's a Cuban American with Miami roots who's been calling New York City home for 13 years. In her past corporate life, Yvette led high powered teams at top companies like Univision and Edelman. Today, she feels much more successful and fulfilled as a solopreneur who mentors other women on how to prioritize their premium lives. In Spanish, her surname, Regalado, literally translates to mean given or gifted in English. And listen, after today's conversation, you will understand how her purpose was divinely directed. She also teaches asylum seekers English, and she enjoys weekly Pilates classes. Her experiences as a first-generation Latina in the corporate space will have you laughing, crying, jaw-dropping, and applauding all within a range of minutes. We are so proud to welcome Yvette Regalado to the Boss Lady universe. Welcome, Yvette.
Thank you so much. What an intro.
Oh, we're so happy to have you.
Thank you for the invite. I am so excited to be having this conversation with you, boss ladies, because I think that there is so much that we can dive into, and I'm ready for it.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, let's start off on Yvette. What is your highest intention for today's Boss Lady conversation?
My highest intention is for us to get really deep. You know, sometimes we talk about a lot about leadership and we talk about career related conversations, but for me, they tend to be surface level. And so much of who we show up as at work is a reflection of how we show up in our lives. And when we're not successful in one area, however you define that, it's a reflection of how we feel successful or not in the other areas. So I really want to have the intention of going deep and really having people ask themselves reflective questions that they likely have never asked themselves before, and have that be sort of, you know, a first step of sorts for them.
Woo! All right, Boss Lady.
There it is. Get ready.
Hold on tight.
Yvette, if you could share one affirmation and song that describes your boss lady journey, which one would you choose and why?
The affirmation is, it's not all or nothing. I can start with one step. And I want to take a pause right there and dig a little deeper into that. The reason for that is because I think that as women of color, in my case, a first gen American, there's a lot of pressure with perfection. There's a lot of pressure of, you know, feeling like you have to have all the answers. You have to have the roadmap set. You have to have everything already defined before you are allowed to make some moves. Because unless you're going to make perfectly, you know, sound moves without any mistakes, it's not worth doing that. And so I'm trying to untangle that. Sometimes we don't have the roadmap. We don't even see, you know, we don't even have 5 steps ahead of us, but we feel a calling. We feel divine intervention telling us this is the direction. This is the step. And I really what I want is for women to really start leaning more into their intuition, into what they know to be true about themselves, and that with taking things one step at a time will lead them to where they're meant to be, versus holding themselves back, waiting for some miracle perfect, you know, situation that is never going to show up. And they then, you know, 15, 20, 25 years down the line have wasted a lot of time. What do we think about that?
Very powerful, especially because the more we try to be perfect, the further we get away from our intuition. So I really appreciate that you bringing it forward, bringing it back to center, bringing it back to what is in your heart to do and what are you passionate about?
Yeah, because so much of what I know about the women that I've worked with is that they rely more on the stories that they make up in their head than what they know to be true about themselves. And a lot of that is because we're not given the time or the space or frankly the permission to sort of pause, reflect, and, you know, think highly of ourselves. For some, that's a privilege. For some, that's never even crossed our minds. So when we don't know ourselves, when we don't know what we bring to the table, when we don't know what makes us so valuable, we let this idea of perfectionism take control, or honestly, hijack. Hijack our futures, hijack what's meant for us. And really, I think there's an opportunity to disrupt that.
Wow, I love it.
It's time to disrupt that.
100%. 100%. And as we think about, especially in work settings, or, first of all, I'm part of the Great Resignation. Let's just start off with that. I quit my corporate, and I know we'll get into that, but I quit my corporate job in 2021. I definitely was part of, that data. And I think that there's something to be said about that. In a world where, the world was on fire, literally continues to be on fire. New York is, going through something right now with all that smoke. But as the world was on fire, and a lot of these corporate settings were not, we're burying their head in the sand, or we're just continuing to pile more and more work, pile more responsibility, not give people their due from an emotional perspective, spiritual perspective, financial perspective. And people said, well, I'm out. Well, it took a really bold community and minority of people to say, I'm out. I'm worth more than this. My health is worth more than this. My family is worth more than this. And I'm smart enough to figure it out. I don't know what's next, because that's my story. I don't know what's next, but I know that based on these 14 years of my corporate career, where I have made a lot of money for a lot of other people, or I have made life easier for a lot of other people, I can figure out how to do that for myself. And that's what I want people to know. You don't need to have the whole roadmap. You don't even need to, like I said, see 5 steps ahead. You just need to know what you offer, what you have a track record of offering, and lean into that.
All right.
Period.
Okay, boss lady.
But
You just
the
set it off.
song, yeah, because I get spicy with it, because it's frustrating. It's frustrating when you see, and it's not, not any fault of their own, but you see women who are like outstanding in every version of the word. They are boss ladies. They show up as boss ladies, but they don't believe that in themselves. Also because they're not told that, right? Like, so many times women are seeking validation because they just never get it. You seek what you don't get, and we can't fault anybody for that. Or you're needy when your needs are not being met. So that's just true. So when we're not telling women that they have everything that they need within themselves, when we're not telling them that they have a good job, that they're doing a good job, when they're not getting paid to reflect the hard work that they offer, that creates the stories that we make up in our head.
Oh, that's powerful, Yvette. You said you are needy when your needs are not being met.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, dropping gems. But let's not forget about your favorite song, because we don't want to.
No, my favorite song, or the song that always pushes me forward, is Alicia Keys' "Girl on Fire."
Oh my gosh, yes.
And
One
I'm
of
sure,
our other guests said that too.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that. The reason for why I lean so much into it is because I had my own, personal situation where I had a panic attack on the train. I live in New York City. I had years ago on my way to work. It was January. It's really cold, and I lost feeling in my limbs. As the closer I got to work on the train, the more panic I felt, which, again, leaning into your intuition. When you don't show up for yourself, your body will communicate that something is wrong. And I learned that, the hard way. And just that day, for as horribly as I felt, I just kept playing the song on repeat. Like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Focus on what you know to be true. You don't know what's next for you. Like, you've had this. In my case, I had this really long career in marketing. I ended up getting the dream job. It came rather easily to me. I felt like this is it. This should be the time where you feel like you've made it. And yet my body is shutting down on me. So there was a juxtaposition there, and I just kept leaning into, you're going to be okay. You'll figure it out. You can't do this forever. I ended up quitting that job. I took a year off. I went on sabbatical. I traveled. I didn't work for a year. Like, it was amazing, right? But like, that would have never happened had I not gone through this really unfortunate, like, panicky situation. So that song was the launch pad to what ended up being a drastic change in my career, that I had never seen anybody. I never knew anybody who just like quit this amazing dream job. Like, where I come from, what? Like, that's not an option. Right. That's really not an option. Like, I was 29 years old. I was making 6 figures. I come from a family where my parents started off working in factories. Like, this is not an option for somebody like me. But the song just kept telling me, no, you're on fire, girl. Like whatever happens, it's just the melody of it and everything just was very motivating for me. And then years later, I don't know how this happened, but I was going through a moment where we're all feeling like, oh, is this the right move? Do I have what it takes? We all go through that. And
Right.
I was expressing that to my mom, and my mom, again, my mother's Cuban, different generation. She's not listening to Alicia Keys. Okay. My mom tells me, and we speak in Spanish, and my mother in English tells me, but what are you worried about, girl? You're on fire.
Oh.
And I was like, what? Mom, do you know that that's a song? And you know that that's like a personal anthem of mine? And she's like, of course I know that's a song. Who doesn't know Alicia Keys, my mother?
Okay, Mom, I hear you. She said, I know what's going on. I know what's
Yeah, she shut me up. But I just felt like, again, that's just divine intervention. That's the right messenger giving you the right message. In one instance, it was Alicia Keys. And then in the years later, it was my mother reiterating the message. And those are things that I wish that we really like paid attention to. These are not coincidences that we just think, oh yeah, that's kind of cute. That's funny. No, these are real, like, these are messages for those who are open to them.
That's right. And we need all of the messages and the divine intervention that we can get.
100%.
Yes, we do. So, Yvette, tell us about the day you learned that your male counterpart was earning $100,000 more than you, and how did this experience shift your mindset into taking action?
Well, the day was excruciatingly painful. It was more than a day. It was like a process. So the highlights is I was negotiating a promotion, which we need to negotiate everything, not just job offers. We need to negotiate job promotions as well. I was in the thick of that, and I wasn't getting what I felt I deserved. What my results showed, it's not like I'm just a hard worker. Everybody works hard, but I'm driving bottom line difference. Like I'm laddering up to CEO goals, company goals. I'm doing things way outside of my scope. I'm using my business mind to get my business money. And when that wasn't happening, I had years ago on Women's Equal Pay Day. I'm a big fan of the Today Show. And years ago, Al Roker on Women's Equal Pay Day gave the advice to women to ask men what they make. He's like, stop talking to the women. If the women are the ones that are underpaid, talk to the men if those are the ones that are making money. And I cataloged that. And so I did that. And I asked my male colleague, he wasn't exactly a counterpart. He was a level above me, but honestly, irrelevant, because $100,000 is, if you're not giving me the $5,000 I'm asking you for now, in 4 years, when I'm at his level, you're not going to give me the 100, is how I saw it. Right? We got to think business minded. So if I'm asking you for 15 grand more and you're only giving me 10, you're really like, you were splitting hairs with 5. And this was making 100. So, it was just very painful and all of that. But I mean, honestly, best thing that happened to me, because it basically was like, girl, you're out. Like, you've been needing a reason to be out. You've never, like, this is not for you. It never felt aligned. This is your opportunity. The mindset shift. This is a hard one. This was probably the hardest one. And now we're going to get real because we're women and we need to talk about this.
We do.
Every single person that had a hand in my salary and his was a woman. There you go. There you go, Monica L. Yeah. From my boss to finance, to the chief officer that we all reported into, every HR, everybody who had a hand in that was a woman. Now, I'm not attacking. This is what I had to, not even in the moment, I would say after reflecting, this was where the mindset shift came about. What women need to realize is, first of all, when we're so underrepresented to begin with, we make the mistake of glorifying those that are at the top. There's such a good representation. This is the model to follow. She's the one opening the door for the rest of us. What I have learned is that every generation goes through their stuff, right? Like, somebody who is 10 years older than me has dealt with a different boys club than the one that I know, has dealt with different levels of sexual harassment than the one that I know.
Yeah.
So they've had to create their own protections, right? Like even mental protections of how to like survive those type of things.
Right.
So when women are in leadership positions and they have their own baggage, their own traumas, and their own things that are keeping them from vouching for themselves, you have to be clear that they're not going to vouch for you because they don't know how to do that for themselves.
Right.
So we need to stop thinking that just because we have leaders that are at the head of some women's leadership ERG, or she is in the minority in the C-suite, or that she's in the minority in the finance team, or that she, whatever, that she can be looking out for all thousands of women in the organization. It's not going to happen.
It's not even realistic.
Mm-hmm. It's not realistic. It's not realistic. But I think that we tend to do that. We tend to put all of our hopes in this one woman who's representing all of us. And that's just, a symptom of the society that we live in, the business world that we live in. And to me, that was the mindset shift. So we really need to start paying attention to who is making decisions for our future, our opportunities, our money, and then seeing how they're looking out for themselves. Because if they have 2 titles and all the other men only have 1, she ain't looking out for herself. If she doesn't have flexibility and all the men are never traveling and she's always on a plane and she's the one that's the face of everything, she ain't looking out for herself. So we need to stop glorifying the things that we think make good leaders and start really paying attention to what puts them in those situations in a negative way and how that can potentially impact us.
Wow. You're so wise. You are so wise. Get it? You are wise.
But
Wise beyond your years. And thank you.
Well, that took
helping me.
reflection. That took reflection. That took, I didn't learn any of this in an HR. I tell everybody, I didn't study HR. I don't read professional development. Everything I learned through the School of Hard Knocks, and it's been hard. It's been hard. And so I don't want these lessons to go in vain. It's not just about being slighted that some dude made 100 grand more. What are you going to do about it so that it doesn't happen to you? That's where the growth comes. Forget my story. That shit happened, and now I've been my own business, and I'm good. I'm dandy. I don't even think about that guy or those women that made those decisions on my behalf. But you think about it. You think about how you could be potentially in a similar situation. How are you going to show up for yourself?
And that's the great question, because what are some of the destructive patterns or stories that you help high achieving? We know you work with mostly first generation Latinas and women of color. How do you help them shift in your work together?
Oh my God. First of all, the gratitude thing. Oh, I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful you gave me an opportunity. I'm so lucky you paid attention to me. I'm so lucky you called me to interview. I'm so lucky oh, this is such a great company. Let me tell you something. I used to be Monica's laughing. I used to be a hiring manager. Let's do some math here, okay? You know how many people apply to the same role, especially in a downward job market? Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. 80% of them whack. They don't make the cut. It's just clear that it's just a generic resume that they're just uploading to any and all opportunities, right? So already 80% don't make the cut. By the time you get invited to interview, you're already in a minority situation, whether you know it or not. So let me break that down. You're already they're looking for every reason to like you because they need you. Because a hiring manager, by the time they even get a job open, like a headcount opened, let's do more math. They had to get HR, management, finance, a boatload of people to approve that headcount to begin with. So they've been running on almost empty now for a few weeks or months with a gaping hole on their team. So they're desperate to meet people who they can immediately and offer them the job, which puts the job searcher, the candidate, in the power position. So when we are offered jobs and we tell ourselves, oh my God, this is such a great opportunity, I'm so grateful, and you don't even negotiate, girl, no, no. And I know where the gratitude comes from. I'm also not knocking that. When you come from a family who has never had a professional job, who has worked maybe in, conditions where there are, in a restaurant or in retail, or they're not 6-figure corporate, like high level jobs, and your family's telling you, oh, this is so good, don't waste this opportunity, don't, rock the boat, don't call attention to yourself. I get where that's coming from. They're coming from survival mode, 100%. And you don't have to be Latina. That happens across, that comes from income levels, that kind of mindset comes from income levels. So when you're getting advice from people who have never done the things that you're doing, and you are inheriting their survival mindsets, starting with, you have to be grateful, you have to be loyal, don't ruffle feathers, we have to do away with all of that. We have to do away with all of that, because we are much more powerful than we know, individually and collectively, and we're signaling the wrong thing. When you don't negotiate, what you're signaling is, I'm so freaking grateful to be here, take advantage of me, take it all, take it all. Don't promote me, wait 2 years to promote me, dangle the carrot stick, I'll take it because I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm not going anywhere, I'm loyal, because security is more important than anything, is also what you're taught from people who have never done the things that you're doing. And this is a great opportunity, this is a great company, this is a lot of cachet. And those are some of those mental shifts that we need to make. Like, first of all, hold up, wait a second, I'm offering a lot, I'm really resourceful. If I don't know something, I will figure it out, because I have too much pride to admit that I don't know something. So I will figure it out. And just like very dedicated to making you look good, because I come from a service-oriented mentality. And not that I'm promoting that, but when that's what we have, leverage it to your advantage. So it's a lot of that. It's us not having these conversations and not telling each other how valuable we are that gets us in trouble.
Right. Oh, yes. I'm with you. I am right now. I am a consumer. I got to remember that I'm co-hosting this. Thank you. Thank you for helping me. This is so needed today for me. So, but we're going to get back to the show. So, so Yvette, so tell us a little bit more about your career therapy course. You work with high achievers, helping them find clarity and confidence, which clearly you are exuding confidence. So we can see that and finding their fulfillment in their career. So tell us a little bit more about the recession. You talked about the Great Resignation. How did this help you in guiding and shifting your career coaching program?
Well, it started, this was the first thing I did when I launched Our Wild Success. And actually, let me take a step back and say the origins of Our Wild Success, or the thinking behind the name, is that this is a collective, which you mentioned, this is a collective, this is a community where I want us to think beyond what we know to be successful. Successful is not just get a good job, make more money than your parents, and leave it at that. We have to think beyond that. We have to give ourselves permission and the space to do that. And that's where career therapy came from. From people who were really burnt out for a really long time, didn't know why, but they also didn't know what was next. They just knew that they were crying a lot because they felt very stuck and they felt very taken advantage of, and they just felt overworked and undervalued. Was the origins. Again, two years ago is when this started. And so now, in the way that the program has evolved, is that it is attracting a lot of women that have already done a lot of inner work. So it's a program called Career Therapy, and I'm very clear that I'm not a therapist. But at this point, to join the program, you have to be in therapy. It's a prerequisite, because there's a lot of self-sabotaging that happens, and there's a lot of leading with no, and there's a lot of leading with problems and not solutions. And it's just, I can't help you if you are not helping yourself. Right. Like, I can't help you see things if you are right now are in a season where you're like stuck in the negative, or in like not wanting to see what's potential for you. So the program really comes down to you redefining what success means for you. And not just in, I mean, yes, at work, but also just defining what season in life you're in. Some seasons we're hustling. We want that promotion. We want to make more money. We have the energy. We have the time. We can stay work, we can stay at work later. But some seasons, like during the pandemic, we were tired. We just need to do enough to keep the lights on. And then focus on fulfillment, relationships, self-love outside of work. And that's success. So when you read my bio and you mentioned the thing about Pilates, I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud that 3 days a week, I start my day at a Pilates studio, because in my old world, in my old corporate world, never, like I would have never seen that as an opportunity. I wouldn't have even known how to make that happen because I wasn't nurturing myself. I was like focused on this career path. I had a goal. I want to make 6 figures and be director by 30. I accomplished that at 29. I didn't have any other goals after that. I didn't know, I didn't, like, what else is after that? I didn't know anybody who had accomplished more than that.
Wow.
Right.
So I for the next, when did I leave? I'm 30. So for the next 7 years, what was I doing? I was like, well, I guess I'll take a year off. I'll travel. But I was kind of just like in limbo because I didn't know what success looked like after 6 figures. And by the way, you make more money, the cachet lasts the first 2 paychecks.
Wait, say that again?
As you're growing in your career, you're growing in your salary. For me, because I felt so misaligned or disaligned, I didn't feel aligned with my career. I just kept chasing money. So because I didn't feel aligned with the work, the thrill of making more money only lasted 2 paychecks, the first 2 paychecks of that new salary. Because then otherwise I'm back to feeling burnt out, feeling unfulfilled. What am I doing? Where's this going? What's going on? So money does not buy success. Money does not guarantee success or feeling successful. And that's what we dive into in the program.
I love it.
Very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so important what you're saying, because what I'm hearing you say is like, we have to have our own team. We have to have our own support. We have to have our own accountability crew, if you will. And so we know that boss ladies lead full lives. So what are some ways that boss ladies can build their team and kind of serve as their own PR specialists at work or their own HR specialists at work while they're building these premier lives?
So when it comes to, I think there's 2 questions. I actually talk about board of directors. Everybody needs one. Everybody needs one. And you need people who are going to champion you and who are going to tell you that you're doing a great job. But you also need a devil's advocate. You need somebody to tell you, girl, you're dragging your ass. Like, what are you waiting for? You need people who are going to, sponsor and mentor you. And then you need people who are in the trenches with you. And that's just across the board. But also that rings true in your personal life too. Somebody to check you. Hey, like, you're kind of a downer. Like, are you going through something? Is something going on with you? Do you need, mental health help? We need that in all aspects of our lives. Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to work and boss ladies becoming their own HR or PR specialist, this is, again, part of the work about mind, shifting your mind. Promote your work often. It's not braggy. It will feel uncomfortable when you're not used to doing it. Mm-hmm. But men do it all the time naturally. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to study men. So, I don't believe in these women's leadership. Not if they're not talking to men. You need to study the people that are showing up confidently, and you need to see what they're doing and how they're building that sort of, boldness. And so right. Something that I tell people when it comes to being your own PR and HR specialist, you need one-on-ones with your manager. And when we're talking about, a corporate professional, world, you need one-on-one with your managers often. And if that's not already set up for you, you need to set that up, and you need to run that meeting. That's not you showing up and shooting the shit or telling them like, oh, this is my to-do list. No, these are the results I drove. This is the problem that I faced and how I handled it. If you're a manager, you need to like also shout out your team to show that you're a strong leader that's bringing out the best in your team. And you can do that at any level in your career. You don't need to be a director. You don't need to be a VP. A coordinator, is driving results. And at the same time, in those check-ins, be checking in. Hey, a year from now, I'm expecting, or I'm trying to work towards a promotion. Right. What are the goals that we need to set for that? And every 3 months, every quarter, track. Right. How am I meeting these goals? What do I need to do so that at the end of the year, when we're having my evaluation, it's a mutually beneficial conversation. And that's what I call being the CEO of your success. You need to let people know that you're serious about your success, that you're proactive in your success, that you're not waiting for people to make decisions about your growth and, going back to the root, your money.
That's right. I love that. And I know me and Coach Kaya, we've had that conversation. Like, at certain positions, I manifested that and I put it in writing, and then I did achieve it. And you always acknowledge your team. Like, don't be that person who just takes credit for your team. You acknowledge them, because then that shows that it is a team effort. Because the last thing you want is to be over a team and you looking burnt out and stressed out, and they're off somewhere in another island living their best life. And then you're like, I don't know. And they were like, well, we gave you a team. You don't know how to delegate. That's not a good leader,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
Or if you take credit for your team's work and then get rid of the team, because apparently they say you don't need them. You got this.
Right.
That's not good either.
No, especially when you don't got it. Right.
Yeah, but what's interesting? Most people don't got it. Most people don't got it.
They don't got it.
And again, like, it's a symptom. A lot of people become managers and they're not taught. You just get promoted and you become a manager, but you're not taught how to be an effective leader.
Exactly.
And so that's where not knowing how to delegate comes in. That's how not knowing how to like foster humanity, relationships. Like, these are people, they're not robots. This is really important human stuff that is not being talked about, right? Like, and we go back to how we show up in our relationships and our personal life is a reflection of how we show up in our relationships at work and vice versa. And I'm going to brag on myself for a second. I was a manager for, I think a total of 8 years. I never had anybody resign on me, ever.
Wow.
Ever. Also, I hated being a manager. It's a lot of work. Okay, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of emotional labor. It's a lot of grooming, mentoring. It's a lot of work, but that was the job. So you got to show up, and it's not fair to them. Like, I worked with a lot of high achieving, ambitious young women like me, because I worked in Latino marketing. So a lot of the women that reported into me were also first gen Latinas. So it's kind of the way I saw it is, we only have each other. So if I can't teach you the little bit that I know, you're like, I'm doing a disservice to my own people. Like, I'm not with that. But ultimately what I've learned is, those women continue to be so loyal to me, and vice versa, right? Like, these are reciprocal relationships. Right. And what I think is a bad move is when you don't acknowledge your team, you don't recognize that one day one of those people can be your boss.
Thanks. Yeah.
And can be in a position to either hire you, or if you start your own business, give you an opportunity or mention your name in a room you're not in. Young people, I always want to hire young people, also because they know things that you don't know. Like, it's very natural for them to know social media and digital things. Right. And like, I don't want to be on TikTok. It's another mindset thing, right? When you come to work and you're junior and you're thinking, oh, I have to learn and I have to be quiet and I don't have anything smart to say. No, you're probably smarter than a lot of people in this room, because you have new, fresh thinking.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And thank you. Great segue into our next question. So being, that you are first generation, an impressive background that we've heard throughout the show, what is your most proudest moment?
Well, today is a very proud moment. Today is a very proud moment because today marks exactly the 2-year anniversary of my first day as a full-time business owner, CEO, founder, entrepreneur. So man, to know that you can make not a living, a life based off of your vision, even when I didn't have all the steps. So that's why I go back to, it's not all or nothing. Just take one step at a time. I left my corporate job with 6 months of savings and delusional confidence. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have anything. I basically signed up for like a coach program. They said you can create an offering in 3 months, and that was it. And that's what I've been living off of for the last 2 years. And I take my Pilates very seriously, and I take my time to myself very seriously. And I am enjoying a life that I know my parents could have never imagined for themselves. No, nobody in my family could have imagined for themselves. And so to know that in many ways I'm breaking cycles, you know, professionally, personally, spiritually, emotionally, I'm breaking cycles, but this is a big one. Actually, can we take a pause? If you ask me about who my favorite boss lady, are you gonna ask me who my favorite boss lady is? Okay, well, I'll wait for that then.
Okay. Or you can say it now if you want to.
Yeah, my mother. My mother, who, you know, I've had a complicated relationship with. This is not like a fairy tale unicorn story, but if there's one thing, you know, my mom, I will one day write a book about what her experience was, but I just want to plant the seed now. My mother came to this country at 21, didn't speak the language, didn't know anything. 20 years later, almost 20 years later, at 40, my mom went to school.
Wow.
So she was what is called a non-traditional student in every sense of the word. I have to break this down for you. My mother was 40 years old. She had no child care. This was the early 90s. So my brother and I went to college with her. I was very young. I was, I think, about 7 or 8 years old when my mom first started going to school. So I had firsthand, like, I'm seeing what it takes to be determined, to have tenacity, to have obstacles. I'm seeing this firsthand. I'm seeing my mom work a full-time job during the day, and at night she went to school full-time, and she's sitting at the front of the classroom. She's being present. She's raising her hand. She's getting straight A's. She graduated summa cum laude.
Wow.
My mother did an amazing job of just setting the tone that we're not here to focus on obstacles. We're not here to let anybody tell us who we are or what we're not. We're not here to let anybody determine our future. We have agency. And having that kind of background. I mean, listen, my mother went to school in the 90s where registration was not online. That was an all-day event.
Right.
In person. And I saw that. And I will say, my mother also is a white, at the time, blonde Cuban woman, and my mom went to an HBCU.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. The ultimate boss lady. Got it.
We stood out. She stood out, but we stood out in every way possible. And at her graduation, she went to, I'm gonna shout them out. She went to Florida Memorial, at the time college, but now Florida Memorial University. And this is the school where the song Lift Every Voice and Sing comes from, this university. And the entire week leading up to graduation, my mom had that tape on repeat, because she was like, we have to learn the song, because these are the people that gave me an opportunity to be somebody in this country. And so we have to respect that. And so, no, there's no, like, my proudest moment is being the product of somebody who said, we're not letting anybody define us.
Right.
And now when my mom is like, girl, you're on fire. And I'm like, really? Because I don't have the hardships that you went through. I don't have, like, I'm almost the age that my mother was at the time. I don't have kids. Like, I don't have anybody who depends on me. Like, if I make it or I don't make it, you know,
right,
it'll be all right. So for my mom to say, like, she's so proud of me, like, I'm doing so much for women, it's like, wow, that's my proudest moment.
Oh, we love it. Now you got me crying. Oh goodness. Let's wrap this up. No, I'm just kidding. I love it. See your
Yvette, this is
mom our
amazing.
love.
Yes, she is the original boss lady.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I feel like we talked about this, but I know that you're a big dreamer and a big achiever and you're limitless. So we want to ask you right now, what does your life look like uninterrupted, meaning all obstacles are removed?
My life uninterrupted is rooted in peace. It's rooted in peace. I want to lead. It's a life where I wake up feeling fulfilled, but and excited, but also just feeling like it's all gonna be okay. Right. Whatever you decide to do today is gonna help somebody. It's gonna help you. It's gonna help your community, and it's gonna be okay. And you know, my life uninterrupted is also defined by me. Defined by me. This is a life where I am reveling in premium relationships. I am in a romantic partnership now that I wish for every person. Mm. Every person deserves to feel this love, this respected, this adored. But I got here through a lot of the inner work. Like this doesn't show up at your door, right? Like you have to put work for this. And so I want to translate that in other areas of my life. I don't have a thriving business for 2 years because it just showed up at my work. I put skin in the game. Right. And you know, it's been a long few years of a lot of emotional labor. It's been a lot of like, you know, transformation is hard. Transformation is very hard. Transformation is laborious. So my uninterrupted life is the fruits of all of that because it's been tough. My uninterrupted life is not crying over debt. Because, you know, money trauma is a thing. Money trauma is a real thing. So my uninterrupted life doesn't think about those things. My uninterrupted life doesn't worry about, I don't know what's next. It's okay. Right. It's okay. But I'm honestly, I'm halfway there, which I feel good about.
We feel it. We feel it. Yes, you are. You acknowledge it. You know it. Oh gosh. Yes. Such a great interview.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Shout out to Ashley.
Yes.
Shout out to Ashley. She understood the assignment.
She overstood the assignment.
Yes, definitely.
So, Yvette, what's the best way for our listeners to connect with you so they don't miss anything?
Oh, thank you. First and foremost, our Instagram. Okay. My handle is Our Wild Success, OUR Wild Success. And then my email is Yvette at ourwildsuccess.com, which I'm also very proud of. Like I got my own email.
Yes. Yes, you do. Boss lady.
yeah. Thank you. But you know, I want people to come and find me to really take a look at themselves from all angles. This is not just a career conversation. This is a conversation with themselves about radical self-love, about really going deep, about wanting to like learn what do they bring to the table in all aspects of their lives so that they lead with that kind of confidence to know, you know what, I don't need to be in this relationship. I don't need to be swiping right and hoping, oh, I hope they like me. Nah, it's more like, do you like them? I don't need to go to an interview thinking like, oh, I hope that I impress them. No, are they impressing you? Do they have what you need so that you can thrive in that environment? That's the energy.
That's the energy. That's the boss lady energy right there.
Thank you.
Well, we are so proud of everything that you've done. We are so inspired by you and your journey. And we know that this is just the beginning. So that's phenomenal in and of itself. We want to recap some of the gems that Boss Lady Yvette shared with us today. As women of color, there's a lot of pressure to be perfect. It's time to untangle that and focus on your calling. It's time to lean into your intuition and do what you are led to do. Have a track record of what you are capable of doing and understand your record of being outstanding. If you are being needy, it's because your needs are not being met. Focus on what you know is true. Don't allow your sense of gratitude to overpower your ability to negotiate. Leverage your gifts and understand your value. Mindset shifts help us to be aware of when we're leading with no and self-sabotaging. It's important to understand what season you are in and focus on fulfillment, love, and what you do outside of work. You need a board of directors, sponsors, mentors, people in the trenches with you. Study the people who are showing up confidently. What are the results that you drove? How are you celebrating your team's success? Share your promotion goals. This is how you become the CEO of your success.
Woo! Well, we really hope you enjoyed connecting with the wonderful boss lady, Yvette Regalado, CEO and founder of Our Wild Success, learning more about how you can boss up by being an ally and having allies. Thank you again, Yvette. We so appreciate you, and please come back soon.
Honestly, as soon as you have me, I'm willing to come back. I had such a great time. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm grateful in a
Thank you
positive
so much.
way.
Yes.
And congratulations on your anniversary. We're just so happy to celebrate it with you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Attention, boss ladies. Did you know the Boss Lady Manifesto Journal, commitments designed to keep you and the little queen inside you boss up, is taking the world by storm? It's not just any journal, it's an Amazon #1 new release. With 52 commitments, this journal is key to keeping you feeling amazing, mind, body, and soul. So don't wait any longer to transform your life. Purchase your Boss Lady Manifesto Journal today and take control of your destiny. Remember, you are the boss. Get ready to boss up and make changes. Order your journal today, Boss Lady.